Touchdown! Coast-to-coast highlights of collegiate football. With commentary by Chris Schenkel. Penn State's Nittany Lions open their season at Beaver Stadium against another Eastern power, the United States Naval Academy. The winner of this could go on to capture high honors in the East, as well as a place among the nation's top teams. Rip Engel's charges explode in the opening period as junior quarterback Pete Lisk directs Junior Powell to the goal line on a 55-yard touchdown play. But don't chalk this one up yet. A case of clipping is detected on the 47, and so State is penalized. Powerful Al Gursky takes the handoff and digs out 12 yards before he's dropped by Navy's Bob Sutton. This drive continues to the payoff. Lisk fakes into the line and comes out with a touchdown pass to Al Gursky. The conversion makes it 7-0, but not for long. After a midi fumble, State comes storming back. Lisk hits Dick Anderson with a 20-yard pass, and the Lions roar for more. And that's just what they get as All-America candidate Roger Kaufman casts his ballot in the end zone. And the first quarter ends with Penn State leading Navy 14-0. Moments later, State cashes in again on an intercepted pass, and now Navy tries to come back trailing 20-0. Ron Klenick ignites a spark in the midi attack, and it's first down, Navy. Amped on the 35, Klenick hands the ball to tricky Johnny Say, who slips through an opening, and away he goes. Say shows the same open field finesse that Army couldn't stop last season, and it's 20-7. Midi cheers turn to groans, for State's Pete Lisk is back on the firing line with Roger Kaufman his target. It's 1st and 10, Penn State. Lisk is in complete control of the situation as he keeps on a rollout and picks up a key block from Dave Robinson on his way into the end zone. State is loaded this season, and so is the scoreboard, 27-7 at halftime. Neither team can score in the third quarter, but Navy runs into more trouble in the final period when Roger Staubach's aerial is stolen by Roger Kaufman, and it's Penn State's ball. It doesn't take the Nittany Lions long to march upfield as Roger Kaufman and company keep picking away at the Navy defenses. Pete Lisk mixes his plays well. Here he connects with Junior Powell on a rollout pass, and the score continues to mount. It's 33-7. Navy can't muster a sustained drive, so quarterback Bruce Abel calls his own number around the left side. Abel is unable to hit his receiver when Big Dave Robinson deflects the football. This makes it easy for Junior Powell to roar down the sideline behind Dave Robinson for more Penn State points. Powell's dash makes it 39-7 as Rip Engel's forces go for the 2-point conversion. Pete Lisk fades back and drops a jump pass into the arms of his All-America end, Dave Robinson. It's a 41-7 tornado that's ripping up the Navy defense. Wayne Harden's stunned team can't cope with Penn State's strength as substitute quarterback Ron Coates continues the air raid with a pass completion to Ted Malowitz. Good for 22 yards. Coates likes the air lanes. He again hits Malowitz for the first down. Ron Coates, playing in his first varsity game, shows the confidence of a veteran as he whistles a strike to Tom Urbanek for another first down. With 3 consecutive completions under his belt, Coates tries his hand at the running game and finds it just as successful. If Coates can just get it over the goal line, he'll really have something to write home about. There's a fumble, and Navy recovers. But it'll take quite a while before the midshipmen recover from this devastating finish that finds Penn State on top of a 41-7 score. The top intersectional battle of the week matches the Duke Blue Devils and the Trojans of Southern California. Both teams are highly rated in their own conference. So today's game in the Los Angeles Coliseum should be a classic. Duke drives in the first period as quarterback Gil Garner whips the sideline pass to Big Stan Grissom at the Southern Cal 49. Garner drops back and rifles a shot to halfback Bobby Hahn. Bobby adds 5 more yards to the Trojan 34. Faking nicely, Garner rolls to his right and looks for Hahn. Bobby has it and fights inside the 20. Blue Devil blockers are really doing the job. Garner gets plenty of time to seek out Jay Wilkinson. Jay, the son of Oklahoma coach Bud Wilkinson, does his daddy proud by slipping loose and going in for the score. Duke takes the lead 7-0 after 1 period of play. The Trojans come marching back. Pete Bethard goes to his right on the rollout and fires a strike to Hal Bedsole at the sideline. Bethard and Bedsole try the other side this time. It's Pete Bethard throwing and Bedsole catching at the Duke 26. Penalty moves the ball back, but Bethard fakes a pass, then streaks around the left side for a 14-yard pickup. Hard-hitting Ben Wilson pulls his way at right tackle, and the Trojans are knocking on the door. The smooth-working Bethard makes it look easy as he lobs a pass to halfback Willie Brown. Brown muscles his way across for a touchdown. Southern Cal adds the point, and it's a new ball game at 7-all. Senior quarterback Walt Rappold takes over for Duke. Walt is given an unfriendly welcome by rival quarterback Pete Bethard. Pete intercepts and returns down the sideline to the Southern Cal 44. Jack Rabbit halfback Willie Brown carries the ball to midfield. The score, a 51-yard beauty, and it puts Southern California on top at halftime, 14-7. In the third period, Duke quarterback Gil Garner fails to find a receiver, but he does spot daylight. Gil keeps for 9 yards. Here's the halfback option play at its best. Jay Wilkinson passes to Bobby Hahn. Hahn hurries to the Trojan 28. Gil Garner tries to keep things rolling, but a strong pass rush forces Gil to throw a stray. Gary Hill intercepts and then flashes some fancy footwork on a return that takes him 44 yards and halts a Duke drive. In the final period, Duke tries again to even the score. This play goes Garner to Leggett, to Garner to Grissom, and it's a 21-yard gain to the Duke 36. The Blue Devils again work the halfback pass. Billy Futrell hits Mark Leggett for 6 yards. Left-hander Mark Leggett and Futrell trade jobs, with Futrell taking a pass. Billy barrels to the Southern Cal 40. Only a few minutes remain as Garner steps back to throw. Gil spots an alley, but loses his footing after gaining 6 yards. The Blue Devils go back to their bread and butter play. Futrell hits Bill Reynolds for 5 yards and the first down. Less than 2 minutes left now as Garner connects with Stan Grissom. Duke advances to the Trojan 22. Walt Rappold is in at quarterback. Walt passes to Grissom, but the deflected ball lands in Damon Bain's hands. It's all over but the shouting as the Trojans of Southern California, coached by Johnny McKay, edge Bill Murray's Duke team 14-7. Texas Christian University, a perennial Southwest Conference powerhouse, invades the lair of Kansas University in Lawrence, Kansas, for a rugged intersectional opener for both teams. Kansas halfback Gale Sayers gets the Jayhawkers moving in the first quarter with a wide sweep to the right that nets 14 yards. Sayers has the ball again. Gale powers for 5 yards as Kansas moves. Kansas quarterback Roger McFarland pitches back to Tony Liker. Tony has 8 yards, and it's a first down. Again, it's third and short yardage. McFarland has the right number. He passes to Mike Shen, who goes to the Texas Christian 23. TCU stiffens its defense, and Gary Duff comes in for a field goal attempt. Duff's kick is true, and Kansas leads the Horned Frogs 3-0. Sonny Gibbs gets Texas Christian moving as he completes to Ben Nix for a first down. Watch Gibbs stretch out his 6'7" frame en route to an 18-yard gain. Jim Fauver gets the call and rumbles around the right side for another TCU first down. On third down, Gibbs must have the big play. He does. A bullseye to Tom McGoffin for a touchdown. The point try fails, but TCU leads Kansas 6-3. The Jayhawks fight back. Gale Sayers flanks the right side for a Kansas first down on the TCU 37. Roger McFarland goes back to pass. He lassos Ron Olschlager, who goes to the Texas Christian 28, and Kansas is threatening. McFarland pitches back to Gale Sayers, but the ball is fumbled. Sophomore tackle Bobby Smith recovers for Texas Christian to snuff out this Kansas fire. The score at the half remains TCU 6, Kansas 3. Watch closely as the Kansas team pulls itself out of the hole early in the third period. It's a well-executed quick kick by Tony Liker after taking a pitch back for the quarterback. Jerry Terrell fumbles, and Kansas again has the ball. Gale Sayers fights to the Texas Christian 14-yard line. Again, the TCU defense holds. Gary Duff's kick is no good. The score remains TCU 6, Kansas 3. Minutes later, Kansas starts upfield. McFarland keeps for 6 yards. Gale Sayers, a real breakaway threat, gets some needed running room on this play and races into the clear. Donnie Smith makes the save for Texas Christian after a 43-yard gain. A penalty disrupts the Kansas drive. On 3rd and 20, McFarland is back to pass. He finds no one open and is buried under for an 11-yard loss. Kicker Gary Duff would like to tie the game, but his attempted field goal is blocked. And once more, a Kansas drive is thwarted. Time is running out, and Kansas is moving. McFarland passes to Jay Roberts on the TCU 14. McFarland rolls left again and fires to Roberts. Kansas is on the TCU 7 with only seconds remaining. Coach Jack Mitchell sends in the final play, and the tension reaches the breaking point. This is it. McFarland rolls to his right. The gun sounds. He throws. It's no good. And the Texas Christian Horned Frogs are upset victors by the narrowest of margins over a good but sputtering Kansas 11. The final score, TCU 6, Kansas 3. The Longhorns of Texas open their season under the lights at Austin by taking on the Oregon Ducks, powerful West Coast independents, favored by the forecasters to be tops in the Southwest. Texas has picked a tough opponent for an opener. Just how tough becomes apparent in the first quarter as Larry Hill passes off the halfback option. Dick Emwall has it and brings the web foots almost to midfield. It's Oregon on the go with Mel Renfro ripping through the right side to the Texas 46. Fullback Jim Josephson finds plenty of room in the same spot and dashes through for a web foot first down. Quarterback Bob Berry pitches back to Larry Hill, and Hill hurries around the left side. The Texans can't catch up, and Hill goes in to give Oregon a 6-0 first quarter lead. The Ducks are back to their own goal line later in the quarter, and Ron Snido's hurried punt bounces out of bounds just 24 yards upfield. A real bad break for the Ducks. But they stop the Longhorn charge, and Texas is forced to settle for a 38-yard field goal to close out the first period with Oregon in the lead, 6-3. The Ducks are moving again in the second quarter. Bob Berry passes over the middle to Dick Emwall, who gets 48 yards before Duke Carlisle's diving tackle stops him on the 1. That 1 yard proves tough to get. Jim Josephson hits the middle. There's a fumble, and Texas recovers. The Ducks are stopped, and the half ends with the score still 6-3. In the third quarter, Oregon's Mickey Ording bursts into the Texas backfield, causing a fumble. Ed Thomas recovers, and the Ducks have the ball on the Texas 15. On a beautiful run or pitch play, Bob Berry flips to Larry Hill, then provides a good block on an 8-yard sweep. Mel Renfro gets a running start and dives over some prime Texas beef for the score. Oregon pulls away to a 13-3 lead. Darrell Royal's Longhorns hit the long comeback trail with Jerry Cook fielding a flare pass and bouncing to a first down on his own 37. Fullback Ray Pose drives hard at right tackle to pick up 7 yards. Ernie Coy follows good blocking around right end and makes the first down with room to spare. A piling on penalty puts Oregon in the hole. Ganung rolls out and passes to Ernie Coy to pick up a fast first down for the stampeding Longhorns. Again, Ganung rolls out. He finds Ben House at the sideline, and Texas is on the Oregon 12. Jerry Cook has the right recipe for the touchdown. He picks his way through the Ducks to score. Texas goes for the two-point conversion and makes it to cut the Oregon margin to 13-11. Operating from their own 4, the Ducks are struck with a costly fumble. Texas comes up with the ball, and it's goal to go on the 5. Ray Pose takes a quick pitch out and romps across as Texas takes the lead 19-13 at the end of the third quarter. In the final period, the Longhorns come on strong. Johnny Ganung hurls high and far to Jim Hudson. Hudson is under it for a 49-yard play. Ganung and Jerry Cook polish off the Longhorns, come from behind victory with a 7-yard pass play that leaves the Ducks far behind on the short end of a 25-13 score. Len Casanova's Oregon team showed a lot of power, but the Texans capitalized on every break to come out on top. Both should be teams to watch in the scramble for national recognition in the weeks to come. Georgia Tech's Grant Field, sporting a new double-deck look, burst with 52,000 fans for an interconference game between the Clemson Tigers and the Engineers. Georgia Tech tries to move in the first quarter. Quarterback Stan Gann floats a pass down the middle, but Clemson's Walter Cox intercepts. And it's a first down for the Tigers. Clemson quarterback Jim Parker has trouble himself as the quick Tech line, led by Ted Davis, swarms in to break up the pass. Coach Frank Howard calls on Rodney Rogers, and the talented senior boots home a 34-yard field goal. Clemson leads 3-0. The Engineers come roaring back. Fleet Johnny Gresham takes a pitch out and circles left end for 20 yards and the first down on the Georgia Tech 42. Billy Lothridge has the number on this play. The junior quarterback keeps the ball and runs to the Clemson 44 as the first period ends. With 3rd and 6 from the 23, Lothridge is back to pass. He fires a strike to his big end, Billy Martin, and Georgia Tech has a touchdown. The score, Georgia Tech 6, Clemson 3. Billy Lothridge is really moving the Rex this afternoon. Johnny Gresham takes his screen pass for a 15-yard gain, and Tech is traveling. On this play, Lothridge fakes and flips a pass to Joe Auer. Watch the brilliant speedster skip down the sideline for a touchdown. Lothridge's kick makes the score Georgia Tech 13, Clemson 3. The Clemson Tigers try to claw back on a Jim Parker aerial, but Brad Yates, number 69, intercepts and returns to the Clemson 34. Passing more than usual, Georgia Tech gets an 11-yard gain from Lothridge to Johnny Gresham. Executing his plays to perfection, Lothridge spins and pitches to Tech's other good end, Ted Davis, for a touchdown as the first half score mounts to a 20-3 lead for the impressive Georgia Tech Engineers of Bobby Dodd. Second half action sees the Georgia Tech aerial circus come a cropper as Billy Lothridge's pass is intercepted by Clemson's Coleman Glaze. Quarterback Joe Anderson is in the game for Clemson. He completes a pass to Lou Fogel for a 10-yard gain. The Clemson Tiger roars as Anderson completes again. This time, Oscar Thorsland is the receiver. After two sideline passes, Anderson passes up the middle. John Case completes the circuit on the Tech 9. Watch for a real lucky bounce on this play. Anderson's pitchback is neatly scooped up by Jerry Taylor, and the Tigers have goal to go as the third quarter ends. Clemson calls on Jerry Taylor again, and the fleet halfback, following strong blocking, goes in for the touchdown. The score now is Georgia Tech 20, Clemson 9. Clemson continues its comeback try. Jim Parker hooks up with Bob Poole for a 9-yard gainer. Parker is again back to throw. He completes to Elmo Lamb, but Elmo fumbles, and Don Toner recovers for Georgia Tech. Billy Lothridge and his offensive brigade know what to do with that ball. Billy completes to Joe Auer for an 11-yard gain to the Clemson 5. 3 plays later, Lothridge goes over on a quarterback sneak for the game's last tally. The final score, Georgia Tech 26, Clemson 9. It looks as if Bobby Dodd has a real Southeastern Conference power this season, and Atlantic Coast Conference fans know better than to count out Frank Howard's Clemson Tigers. The Sub-10 power Michigan State journeyed to the West Coast to find the Stanford Indians all ready for war. In the first quarter, Spartan fullback Roger Lopes wards off two tacklers near the sideline, changes direction on another, and is finally hauled down on the Stanford 9 after a 25-yard burst. The Spartan forwards unlock the door, and George Sames barges in to score. Michigan State leads Stanford 7-0. But the aerial-oriented Indians prove tough to contain. Quarterback Steve Thurlow arrows a pass to Bob Howard, who makes a heap-big grab at the Spartan 1. Tony DeLellis hits the center of the Spartan buildup with Jack Hammerforth for the touchdown as the Indians tie it up at 7 apiece. Later, Thurlow fakes a jump pass, rolls right, and fires. The ball takes the long way around, but Frank Petitucci has it and more. It's a 25-yard play for Stanford. Penalties mar the Indian march, so they go for 3 points. Stan Linscock boots home a 17-yarder to put Stanford on top of Michigan State 10-7. Stanford is rolling in the third quarter. Speedy Johnny Pay gets a quick block from Chuck Bueller and races for 33 yards and a touchdown. There's an upset in the making as Jack Curtis's crew forges ahead 16-7. Michigan State is attempting to pull it out later in the final period when quarterback Pete Smith is hit by Bob Howard and fumbles. But alert tailback Ron Rubik quickly picks up the ball and completes a pass to Jeff Albrecht for 27 yards to the Stanford 1. All-America fullback candidate George Sames dives into the end zone for the Spartans, and the game's final tally. Stanford holds on to edge Duffy Doherty's Spartans 16-13, one of the biggest upsets of football's second week. Louisiana State made its bid to gain national recognition as it took on 5th-ranked Georgia Tech at Atlanta. Tech's Billy Lothridge kicks off to open the second half of the scoreless game. His boot sails to the LSU 2, where Jerry Stovall takes it and starts upfield. By the time Tech defenders field the draft, Stovall has been and gone. He breezes 98 yards on this return trip into Georgia's cotton fields and rings up 6 points for LSU. Glenn Amity converts, and the Tigers are on the scoreboard with 7 points. Georgia Tech rolls in the final quarter as Billy Lothridge shoots a dart to his favorite receiver, Billy Martin, for a first down on the LSU 38. The Yellow Jackets sting the Tigers again by sending fullback Ray Mendheim on a 19-yard trip up the middle. Dwight Robinson and Jerry Stovall are in on the tackle. Lothridge puts it up to 6'4" Billy Martin, who catches the ball in the end zone for a Tech tally. The Yellow Jackets bounce back to tie it, 7-7. Charlie McClendon's Bayou Bengals let out a roar. All-America candidate Jerry Stovall accepts the pass and moves the ball all the way to the Tech 14. When the Yellow Jackets offer stiff resistance, Lynn Amity solves the problem by kicking a 24-yard field goal. The Bengals protect their 10-7 lead the rest of the way to knock Georgia Tech from the ranks of the unbeaten. LSU replaces Tech as one of the nation's 10 best. The Florida State, ranked number 3, invaded Michie Stadium to get a close look at Army coach Paul Dietzel's 3-team system. Army has the ball in the first quarter. Ken Waldrop tries a halfback pass play, but his efforts go up in smoke as Pete Lisk picks off the misguided toss and starts back the other way. Lisk finds lots of room to roam and gets to midfield, where Joe Blackgrove applies the stopper. Dietzel's Chinese bandits break the Nittany Lions' charge, only to have Ron Coates split the uprights from 32 yards away. State leads 3-0. Army's go team is on the move with Cammy Lewis directing the attack. John Simo has the ball, and he goes like the wind for 32 yards before Dick Anderson finally nails him on the Lion 19. When the Army drive bogs down, Dick Hates slams home a 35-yard field goal. It's a new game at 3-3, and that's the way it stands at halftime. Rip Engel's unbeaten Lions roar back in the third quarter. Pete Lisk can't find a receiver, so he does the next best thing. Lisk gets a first down deep in cadet country. When the Chinese Bandits cause havoc up front, State elects to try for the field goal. Ron Coates' 24-yarder is letter perfect, and Penn State takes over the lead in this tight defensive battle, 6-3. A Lion fumble late in the game gives Army a big break. From the State 19, Art Lewis's pass to Dick Peterson in the end zone spells the difference between victory and defeat for Paul Dietzel's team. Army pens a stunning 9-6 upset on one of the nation's best, the Nittany Lions of Penn State. By Saturday, witnessed the key game in the Big Ten that weekend as Northwestern's undefeated Wildcats tangled with the battling Buckeyes of Ohio State. Pete Stamison kicks off for Northwestern. The low boot is fielded by Bob Klein. Klein breaks to his right and sees a highway open before him. A bone-crushing block at the 45 eliminates the Wildcat. The sophomore halfback outraces the rest and scores on a 90-yard sprint that puts Ohio State on the board 7-0 after just 12 seconds. Later in the period, the Buckeyes strike again. Joe Sparma passes to Paul Warfield. Warfield shakes off several tacklers and makes his way to the Wildcat 35. Ohio State gets closer, and Dave Francis is turned loose. On a straight power play, Francis scores State's second TD of the first period. The Buckeyes lead Northwestern 14-0. Northwestern, currently the nation's total offense leader, gets its explosive attack rolling in the second period. Tom Myers connects with his favorite receiver, Paul Flatley. Sophomore Myers attempts to hit the All-America scrolls before he's through, fires a strike to Flatley. It's a Wildcat touchdown and puts them in the game at 14-6. The Buckeyes try to go upstairs and quickly realize their mistake. Sparma's pass to Bob Klein is picked off beautifully by Roland Wall, a key interception on the Northwestern 47. Tom Myers brings the Wildcats down close, then sends fullback Bill Swingle over for the touchdown. Northwestern trails Ohio State 14-12 at intermission. In the final period, Ara Parseghian's Wildcats strike again as Willie Stenson breaks to the 1-yard line of Ohio State. Sophomore fullback Steve Murphy goes up and in for the touchdown. Northwestern, with its eye on the Rose Bowl, hangs an 18-12 defeat on Woody Hayes' Buckeyes and must now be rated with the nation's best. Football attraction of the day was the Big Six battle between the unbeaten Southern Cal Trojans and the 9th-ranked Washington Huskies. Following the kickoff, the Trojans start swinging their battle axes. Halfback Willie Brown slips through tackle and weaves for 13 yards before the Huskies steer him out of bounds near midfield. The Huskies keep 4 men deep to guard against Pete Beddard's passes, are then jolted when Pistol Pete keeps and dashes to a first down on the Washington 13. Flood to lead 7-0. In the second quarter, Washington's vaunted defense tries to stifle a Trojan uprising, but Pete Beddard keeps it alive by whipping a pass to Ken Del Conte. Sophomore halfback Ron Heller gets a shot at ball-carrying duty and proves right for the job. Heller hurdles a Husky to get to the 13. Beddard fakes to Heller, then follows the big back. Beddard's in for the score. Southern California protects its 14-0 lead the rest of the way to take possession of first place in the Big Six race and almost certainly assures itself a spot in the Rose Bowl. On pace was far from over. The undefeated Wildcats of Northwestern hope to chalk up a win over once-beaten Wisconsin at Madison. In the first quarter, Wisconsin's Ron Vanderkellen goes to the air with a pass to Gary Kroner. Gary falls into the end zone for a touchdown to complete an 86-yard Badger march. It's Wisconsin on top, 7-0. Wisconsin tacks on a field goal and is probing for more points in the third period. Lou Holland accepts a Vanderkellen pass and steals away to the Wildcat 24. The Badgers are playing inspired football, as this play clearly illustrates. Vanderkellen wings a pass to Gary Kroner. Gary refuses to go down before he has the touchdown. Gary adds the point. Kroner has scored all 17 points to give his team quite a cushion. The Badgers get the ball on an interception, and Vanderkellen passes down the alley to All-American candidate Pat Richter. Lou Holland starts around the right side. The blocking is something to behold as Holland sweeps across for the TD. Wisconsin has built a tremendous 24-0 lead. The score amounts to 31-0 before Tom Myers gets his Wildcats rolling late in the game with this pass to Steve Murphy. Murphy has clear sailing all the way to the end zone, and the count is now 31-6. With just seconds remaining, Wisconsin's Vanderkellen riddles the defense with a pass to Lou Holland. It costs Northwestern more points as they go under 37-6. The Badgers pull even with the previously undefeated Wildcats at the top of the Big Ten. Decided Southeastern Conference race pitted unbeaten Alabama against Georgia Tech's upset-minded Yellow Jackets. Georgia Tech's engineers use a new shotgun offense, and it suits them to a T. Joe Auer makes a great catch for Billy Lothridge's pass, and the Yellow Jackets are on the Bama 15. Going now from the conventional tee, Lothridge throws a jump pass for Billy Martin, but Butch Wilson intercepts for Alabama to douse this early Georgia Tech flame. There's no score after one quarter. Bear Bryant's team tries to launch an attack, but Joe Namath is hit trying to pass, and the wobbly toss is waylaid by Georgia Tech's Mike McNames. For a fullback, McNames has good speed. He sets Tech up in business on the Bama 14. 2 plays later, McNames bursts through a gaping hole in the Tide defense to go in for the touchdown. The Yellow Jackets sting Alabama to lead 7-0 at halftime. Later in the game, Alabama, thanks to a severe penalty against Tech and a pass from Jack Herbal to Bill Battle, is inside the 10. The Crimson takes another giant step goalward as Joe Namath rifles a pass to Battle at the 1. From there, Namath pitches to halfback Cotton Clark, who stampedes over for the touchdown, and the Crimson Tide is behind by 1 slim point. Alabama refuses to go for a tie. Instead, quarterback Jack Hurlbut follows the convoy of blockers to the right, but he's cut down short of the end zone. Georgia Tech wins at 7-6 to hand Alabama its first defeat, lowering the Crimson Tide from number 1 to number 6 in the national setup. Before SAP was on the line as Minnesota and Wisconsin, each with 5-1 records in conference play, battled for the Western Conference crown. Murray Warmoth's Gophers are on the go. Quarterback Dwayne Blaska passes to Jim Cairns. Cairns fights to the Badger 10 as the first period ends. The Gophers waste no time in scoring. Blaska throws complete to halfback Cairns. Jim jets the remaining yards to a touchdown as Minnesota posts a 6-0 lead. The outcome of this game won't affect Wisconsin's Pasadena excursion, but they want the Big Ten title just the same. Ron Vanderkellen passes complete to Pat Richter. Wisconsin goes for the equalizer with 2 men covering Pat Richter. Ron Leafblad works loose to take Vanderkellen's pass for a touchdown, and Wisconsin inches ahead 7-6. Minnesota comes back with a vengeance in the third quarter. Jerry Jones takes a pitch out and barrels to the Badger 44. When a Gopher touchdown is called back, they settle for a field goal. Colin Versich toes a 32-yarder. Minnesota goes back on top 9-7. Wisconsin tries gamely to pull it out in the final period. Vanderkellen spears Pat Richter at the Minnesota 43. Penalties against the Gophers land Wisconsin on the 2. From there, Ralph Keurig slices off tackle and scores. Minnesota's immovables are moved to remorse as Wisconsin wins 14-9 to wear the Big Ten crown. Pitt Panthers prowl in the Oyster Bowl at Norfolk, Virginia, but they're up against a tough combination. The Navy football team, the Brigade of Midshipmen cheering section, and a capacity crowd of Navy rooters who have come out on Navy Day to see if the Middies can make it 3 in a row. Bill the Goat shows his disdain for the Panthers, while Pitt coach Johnny Michelosson watches his Chargers tune up. He'll be counting on the quarterbacking of number 14, Jim Traficant, who runs the Pittsburgh offense. Navy coach Wayne Harden on the left got off to a shaky start, but his team has won 2 in a row. Pittsburgh drives from the opening kickoff with Ed Clark dodging and fighting all the way to the Navy 25. But the Panthers can't get much closer. Traficant holds. And Rick Leeson tries a 37-yard field goal. It's good. And Pittsburgh leads Navy 3-0. On its first play from scrimmage, Navy pulls an ancient trick out of the book. Jim Stewart, who had limped toward the sidelines as if leaving the field, suddenly streaks into the open to take Roger Staubach's pass. Not a Panther is near, as Jim goes 66 yards for the score, and the old sleeper play makes it 6-3 Navy. Jim Traficant tries a more orthodox maneuver for Pittsburgh. But his hurried pass is picked off by Fred Marlin and returned to the Pittsburgh 36 as Navy threatens again. Roger Staubach in his first season of varsity competition has the middies moving as he leaps and throws to Nick Markoff for a first down on the Pittsburgh 24. Staubach hustles back and fires his second straight completion. This one to Big Doug McCarty over the middle. It's goal to go, Navy. Johnny Say takes a pitch out and slants over the right side for the score. Again, the conversion attempt fails, and Navy leads Pittsburgh 12-3 at halftime. The middies are marching in the third quarter. Staubach rolls out and throws. His pass is deflected, but Ed Marino makes an alert grab to turn a busted play into a 27-yard gain. There's still a yard to go for the touchdown on third down. Bob Orlowski works his way to the outside and goes in. Again, Navy fails to convert, but the middies lead Pittsburgh 18-3. Johnny Micheloson's Panthers get their offense in gear. Rick Leeson rockets through the right side for a first down to the Navy 47. Ed Clark takes an inside reverse for good yardage. Then laterals to Traficant, who streaks down the sideline to make it goal to go for Pittsburgh. Leeson drives straight ahead for the Panthers' first touchdown. They miss the conversion, and it's an 18-9 ball game. Staubach goes back to work for Navy, but Pittsburgh has his receivers covered. Roger keeps cool and gets out of there in a hurry, chalking up a 13-yard gain for his trouble. Staubach fakes to his fullback, starts left, then retreats from the Panther pressure. He finally gets the ball away to Pat Donnelly at the goal line. Pat has it at the 1, and the middies are close. Bob Orlowski blasts into the end zone. Weston's kick is good, and Navy is rolling it up on Pittsburgh 25-9. After the middies force Pitt to punt, Staubach goes back for Navy and completes his 8th pass in 8 attempts. Steve Moore is the receiver, and he dodges away to pile up a 15-yard gain. Staubach tries for 9 straight completions, but the Panthers close in. Roger rips away and sets off on a twisting 22-yard trip to the end zone. Over he goes to close out the scoring and Navy's smashing victory over Pittsburgh. By taking the Panthers 32-9, the midshipmen have won 3 in a row to make their season log 4 wins against 2 defeats. An important Big Ten skirmish takes place at Columbus, Ohio, between the undefeated Wisconsin Badgers, the nation's 5th-ranked team, and the Buckeyes of Ohio State. The Buckeyes hope to bounce back after last week's loss to Northwestern, but the Badgers are determined to keep their record unblemished. Wisconsin coach Milt Brune has his Chargers fired up for this one and hopes to make it 5 straight. A Badger to watch is number 88, Pat Richter. The big end holds 15 Wisconsin pass-catching records and is a definite All-American candidate. Directing the Ohio State cloud of dust offense will be number 25 quarterback John Mumme. John can run as well as pass. With 82,540 looking on, the dark-shirted Buckeyes move goalward as Bob Scott takes a pitch out from Mumme for a first down on the Wisconsin 35. The Buckeye blockers open a big hole, and Bob Butts battles for 8 yards to the Badger 27. Joe Sparma, who shares the Ohio State quarterbacking with Mummy, takes over and fires a 10-yard completion to Paul Warfield. From the Badger 21, Sparma goes back to pass again. Warfield takes the aerial on the 9 and works his way free to go in for a touchdown. The conversion gives Ohio State a 7-0 lead after 1 quarter. On the first play of the second period, Wisconsin gets going as Ron Vanderkellen hits Ellie Ezerins for 11 yards. Vanderkellen stays airborne with a quickie to Pat Richter for a first down on the State 39. Vanderkellen wants to throw again, but his receivers are covered, so he runs instead. Ron romps for 12 yards and another first down. The Badgers work the draw play with fullback Merritt Norvell carrying. The 195-pounder runs hard to the Ohio State 15. The Buckeye defense stiffens, so Gary Kronar attempts a field goal from the 21. It's no good, and it's still a 7-0 ball game. Later in the period, Ohio State is rolling, but the drive is halted as Jim Schenk makes a big interception. The Badgers have the ball on the Wisconsin 49. The Badgers get the equalizer in one big play. Ron Vanderkellen rolls out and hits Ron Smith. Smith, a speedy sophomore from East Chicago, Indiana, leaves Buckeyes scattered all over the field as he races to a beautiful 47-yard touchdown that ties the game 7-7 at halftime. After a scoreless third quarter, Ohio State moves in the final period. Dave Francis bangs straight ahead for 7 yards. The cloud of dust offense is really grinding out the yardage. Bob Butts battles to the Badger 20. Dave Catterhenrick gets the call and responds with a bull-like charge to the Wisconsin 12. Catterhenrick gets strong up-front blocking, and the 222-pound fullback rolls to the 1-foot line. Our slow-motion camera rolls as John Mummy pushes into the end zone for the touchdown that gives the lead back to Ohio State at 14-7. With time running out in the game, quarterback John Mummy sneaks straight up the middle for 8 yards. Mummy displays his running ability once again as he rolls out on the option play. John keeps and jars the Badgers for 17 more yards. Dave Catterhenrick blasts up the middle for another Buckeye first down on the Badger 11. It's 4th and 1 on the 1.5-yard line. Mummy sneaks, but the Badger line throws him back as the game ends. This Ohio State drive fails, but the Buckeyes don't need it as they win 14-7 to deal Wisconsin its first loss of the season and tighten up the Big Ten conference race. It's the Huskies of Washington against the Oregon Webfoots in a great Northwest college football bonanza. Washington coach Jim Owens' team is unbeaten and in contention for the Big Six title, but the Webfoots and their mentor, Len Casanova, came to play football. The Webfoots move early in the first period as halfback Larry Hill goes around left end for a 6-yard gain. Keeping to the ground, the Webfoots drive to the Washington 21. Fullback Bruce Snyder gets 5 yards. Mel Renfro moves behind crisp blocking through right tackle for another 5. On the same play, Renfro blasts over right guard and into the end zone for the touchdown as the Webfoots go 41 yards in 11 plays to lead the Huskies 7-0. Washington responds to the roars of its loyal following and comes marching back. quarterback Bill Seiler keeps the ball and sweeps around left end for 12 yards. Charlie Mitchell gets his first crack of the day, and he's good for 9 yards. The Huskies seem determined to get the equalizer. Seiler fakes, then pitches back to Junior Coffey. Coffey drives down to the Oregon 6 for a first down as the first quarter ends. On first down, Charlie Mitchell crashes over right tackle to go in for a 6-yard touchdown. The Huskies culminate an 81-yard, 16-play drive that helps tie the score at 7 apiece. That is the score at halftime as both the Webfoots and the Huskies battle defensively on equal terms. Third period action sees Washington on the offense. Halfback Nat Whitmire slants over center for 9 yards. Grinding out the yardage, quarterback Douglas sends fullback Bob Monroe pile driving over center for 7 more yards. Going to the outside, the Huskies whip speedy Jim Steiger around to the left. Steiger cuts in and gets to the Oregon 20. From the Webfoot 6, the Husky line opens a gap for Charlie Mitchell, who slips through and is just stopped on the 1/2-yard line. It's first and goal. The Webfoots dig in as the Huskies come up for their second down play. Charlie Mitchell gets the call and drives into the end zone to break the tie and give Washington a 14-7 lead. The Ducks decide to go airborne at this stage. Quarterback Bob Berry passes complete to big Greg Williner for the game's longest play thus far, a 32-yard advance. On a key 3rd and 10 situation, Berry teams up with his other end, Dick Emwall, to keep the Duck drive rolling. From the 14, Berry fakes so deftly, our cameraman follows the would-be ball carrier, but in the end zone, waiting for the pass, is Greg Williner. The conversion attempt is not good, so Washington hangs on to a 14-13 lead. A block kick has the Huskies rallying again. From the Duck 11, Jim Steiger dashes behind some solid blocking and scoots into the end zone to give Washington a 21-13 advantage. The never-say-die Oregon team will not quit. Halfback Mel Renfro wants to pass long, but can't find an open man, so he decides to run. Renfro romps for 17 yards to put the ball on the Husky 18. On the very next play, Larry Hill bursts over center and into the clear. Hill goes all the way for the touchdown to make the score 21-19. A 2-point conversion will tie it up. Quarterback Bob Berry fakes, then passes complete to Dick Emwall to bring this great Northwest thriller to a 21-21 tie. And that's how it ends in a hard-fought battle that brings credit to both teams. Conference leader Maryland, with only 1 loss on its record, battles the Gamecocks of South Carolina at Byrd Stadium. The Terrapin attack features the nation's top collegiate passer, number 14, Dick Shiner, a junior quarterback from Lebanon, Pennsylvania. South Carolina will counter with halfback Billy Gambrell, who currently averages nearly 7 yards a carry. The Gamecocks' Dan Reeves gets a big blitz in the first quarter and fumbles. Mike Funk falls in the pigskin to give the Terrapins a first down deep in South Carolina territory. Dick Shiner wastes little time adding to his passing laurels as he whips a strike to Ernie Aritzi. But the Gamecocks hang on and force Maryland to go for 3 points. John Hannigan kicks the 21-yard field goal, and Maryland leads 3-0 at the end of the first quarter. Always rough on the Terrapins, the Gamecocks open up the second period by sending Dick Day wide around the left side to the Maryland 37. Billy Gambrell hurdles the right side and goes to the Maryland 30. On a crucial 4th and 3 situation, Gambrell gambles but falls short of a first down. Maryland takes over on its own 27. Dick Shiner continues to terrorize the Gamecock pass defense as he rolls right, then flips to Tom Brown, who catches the pass and continues on his way to the South Carolina 35. Billy Gambrell catches up with Brown and knocks him out of bounds. Shiner, who throws the pigskin more like a baseball, uncorks a fastball into the arms of Tom Brown for another first down. Shiner keeps the defense honest by letting Lynn Chiavarini spin his way up the middle of the Gamecock 12. Dick Shiner, a Husky junior quarterback, shows why he's the nation's top passer. Tom Brown, who rates 5th nationally in pass receiving, hangs on for a touchdown as the Terrapins increase their margin to 10-0. South Carolina can't break the ice, so a hot Maryland team tries to come back for more. Jim Corcoran runs into trouble when his pass is intercepted by Larry Gill, who returns to the outside, where there's lots of room to roam. Gill sets South Carolina up for a big threat on the Maryland 16. Shiner isn't the only one who can throw that football. It's a touchdown toss from Dan Reeves to Ken Lester, who rips into the end zone. It's 10-6 Maryland, but South Carolina is going to try for a 2-point conversion. Dan Reeves can't find an open receiver, so he makes a dash for the goal line. Reeves makes it across, and South Carolina is back in business 10-8 at halftime. From the famed Maryland I formation, Shiner drops back to pass in the third quarter. But alert Billy Gambrell intercepts for South Carolina at the Maryland 40 and returns to the 20, where Ernie Aritzi makes the tackle. Maryland refuses to retreat, so Dean Fenley finds a way to score with a field goal from the 18. South Carolina takes over the lead, 11-10. Not until the fourth quarter can Maryland do anything about it. Dick Shiner completes a pass to Tom Brown at the 44. Shiner elects to try the ground game, with Lynn Chiavarini carrying. Lynn breaks loose and goes to the Carolina 42, where it's first down. With 2 minutes and 30 seconds remaining to play, Shiner completes a short rollout pass to Aritzi, and Maryland still has time to pull this game out of the fire. The Gamecocks stop the big score, but with 23 seconds left, John Hannigan kicks home a 22-yarder, and Maryland stops fired up South Carolina to win a close one 13-11, as Tom Nugent's talented Terps keep pace with Duke for the top spot in the Atlantic Coast Conference. Northwestern's undefeated Wildcats work out the kinks for their big battle with the upset-minded Fighting Irish of Notre Dame at Dike Stadium. The Parsegian-coached Wildcats have taken the measure of Notre Dame the past 3 years. Northwestern has a potential All-America and sophomore quarterback Tom Myers, who has passed for 811 yards and 8 touchdowns. Northwestern recovers a fumble early in the game and goes right to work. Larry Benz rips to the Irish 21. Tom Myers goes to the air for the first time, and Chuck Logan makes a circus catch 10 yards away. The Wildcats work the trap with Dick McCauley slamming for hard yardage to the 2. From there, Steve Murphy crashes the wall to score. Northwestern, seeking its 5th straight victory, makes off with an early 7-0 lead that holds up all the way into the second quarter. Notre Dame's Dennis Zott, trying to pinpoint Don Hogan, has his pass picked off by an alert Wildcat. Jim Benda gets back to the Irish 23. Northwestern leads the country's major teams in passing offense. Big gun Tom Myers is responsible. He hits Paul Flatley with a touchdown toss that pleases the partisan crowd no end. Northwestern 13, Notre Dame nothing. The Irish are punting later in the quarter, but Jay Robertson charges in to block the punt. The ball trickles out of bounds, putting the Wildcats in business on the Irish 20. Business isn't exactly booming as Tom Gibberville rushes in to drop Myers for a loss of 10 yards. But Myers gets it all back and more as he goes down the alley to Dick Michalski. The Wildcats are sitting pretty on the Irish 12. Cross-blocking allows Dick McCauley plenty of daylight. He's dumped just short of the goal. Steve Murphy accepts a handoff and dives for points. The Wildcats pass for the conversion to boost their lead to 21-0 at intermission. Notre Dame will really have to go in the second half. The Wildcats never stop. Myers fakes so cleverly, he leaves himself ample time to launch a pass to Paul Flatley. Another step or two on the defense, and Flatley might have gone all the way. Ground support for the overwhelming air game comes from Willie Stenson. Willie fights his way to the Notre Dame 23. Stenson is called on to sweep the end, and sweep it he does for 8 more yards before the Irish nab him. Myers reverts to the air lanes. His intended receiver, Paul Flatley, shakes free to make a diving catch in the end zone. The scoreboard reads 29 for Northwestern, nothing for Notre Dame after 3 quarters. The Irish ignite a fourth-period drive as Darryl LaMonica spots Jim Sherlock with a pass. Sherlock rumbles to the Wildcat 25 for the first big Irish breakthrough. LaMonica fires a quick pass to Jim Kelly that's good for a first down. LaMonica calls his own number and rolls left for 7 yards before he's hung up. The final offensive thrust is handled by Joe Farrell, who bulls his way into pay dirt. The Fighting Irish break into the scoring column, but remain on the short end of a 29-6 score. As soon as Northwestern gets the ball, Willie Stenson is let loose. Willie heists to a first down. Stenson goes right this time, evades a diving tackle, then cuts inside a block for added yardage before he's stacked up. The Wildcat reserves keep the ball moving. Quarterback Fred Quinn roams the right side for 8 yards before he's wedged out of bounds. The Wildcats get to the Irish 6 where they work the draw play. Dick McCauley threads his way into the end zone to complete the day's scoring. Mighty Northwestern pounds out a lopsided 35-6 victory over Notre Dame to remain among the nation's undefeated.
Side of Alabama, the nation's third-ranked team entertains the Hurricanes of the University of Miami, featuring the lethal whip of their star passer George Myra. Miami coach Andy Gustafson on the left and Bear Bryant, the Alabama coach, exchange notes before the game. This is a big one, and they both know it. Here's George Myra, the fabled Miami bullet passer who will test his skills against college football's best defense. And heading the Crimson Tide defenders is number 54, Leroy Jordan, an All-American at center and linebacker. We pick up the action in the first quarter. It's Miami's ball. Myra goes back to pass. He fires downfield, and Jim Simon makes a great catch for a 29-yard gain. 2 plays later, Myra goes back again and runs to his right. He throws long to the goal line, intended for Bill Sparks, but Billy Piper intercepts for the Crimson Tide on his own 2-yard line. The score at the end of the first period, 0-0. In the second quarter, Myra manages to pass complete to Ben Rizzo for an 11-yard pickup. Alabama holds, so Andy Gustafson calls on Bobby Wilson for a field goal. Wilson kicks it through for a 40-yard effort, and at the half, Miami leads Alabama 3-0. Bear Bryant's Chargers come out roaring in the second half. Quarterback Joe Namath keeps and breaks into the clear. Namath speeds for 38 yards, and it's 1st and 10 on Miami 41. Namath elects to pass on the next play. He rolls right and throws to his halfback, Cotton Clark, a 36-yard play all the way to the Miami 9. From the 1, Clark finishes the job as Alabama finally cracks the ice and goes into the lead, 7-3. Joe Namath seems to have spotted a flaw in the Hurricane defense, and he's exploiting it. Here he runs to the left for a 15-yard gain. Benny Nelson moves behind a bevy of Crimson blockers for 5 more yards to the Miami 10. From the 7, Cotton Clark goes over untouched as the mighty Alabama 11 begins to pull away at 15-3. The second half is all Alabama. Joe Namath runs back and pinpoints Benny Nelson, who drives ahead to complete a 33-yarder. Namath now is really riddling the crumbling Hurricanes. He zips the ball to Bill Battle in the end zone as the Crimson Tide margin mounts to 21-3. In the final period, Namath continues the assault. His pass is taken by Dickie Williamson. It's another 40 yards for the Tide to the Miami 27. Namath continues his baffling spin and pass tactics, and this time he hits Cotton Clark for a 16-yard gain. On the very same play, Namath waits a little longer. But Clark is there again, and it's 9 more yards. From the 1, Namath runs it over as the impressive Crimson Tide rolls to a 29-3 lead. George Myra remains undaunted, but his aerial is picked off by L.B. Cook, and it's Alabama threatening once again. Reserve quarterback Jack Hurlbut is no more obliging to the Miami team. Hurlbut keeps the ball and reels off a tricky 21-yard scamper to the Hurricane 8. Larry Wall continues the assault and batters for 4 more to the Miami 2. And Jack Hurlbut dives in for the day's final tally. The Crimson Tide of Alabama, down 3-0 at the half, comes back impressively with 5 second-half TDs to smother a good Miami team, 36-3. There's plenty of wind, pretty girls, and good football players on hand as the Orangemen of Syracuse play host to the Midshipmen of Navy. Syracuse is all even after 6 games, while the Navy log has 4 wins and 3 defeats. Roger Staubach, Navy's outstanding sophomore quarterback, will be at the helm for Wayne Hardin's Middies. Wally Maley, also a sophomore, will be the quarterback for the Orangemen. Jim Nance, a 220-pound sophomore fullback, is already being touted as the successor to Ernie Davis. After a scoreless first period, Syracuse is out for points. Wally Maley can't find a receiver, so he laterals to tackle John Paglio. Burley Paglio gets to the Orange 30. Watch the Syracuse blocking on this one. Halfback Don King bursts through a hole at left tackle. King roars into the secondary and hurdles the Navy safety man. Don steps out of a final tackler's grasp and speeds to a 70-yard touchdown. King's great effort is capped off by Tom Mingo's placement, and Syracuse goes ahead 7-0. The Orangemen battle for more moments later. Sophomore Wally Maley looks like a veteran as he moves to his left and drops a perfect strike into the hands of Big John Mackey. Mackey has clear sailing through the middies en route to a 51-yard TD. Again, Mingo converts, and it's 14-0 Syracuse at halftime. In the third period, young Mr. Maley personally ignites another Syracuse attack. Wally fights for 9 yards. Maley turns over the ball-carrying chore to Jim Gaskins. Jim proves to be a hard man to stop as he drives to the Navy 12. A 5-yard penalty slows the Syracuse march for only an instant. Wally Maley gets the yardage back +1 on this keeper. Fullback Jim Nance cracks over the right side and bulls his way to the Navy 5. Maley injects a little razzle-dazzle at this point. Wally gets the ball back and streaks around left end for a touchdown. The surprise Sailors find themselves behind 21-0 after 3 periods. There's no let-up in the 4th period. Maley fights off a midi and whips a pass to Dick Bowman for a nifty 10-yard gain. Again, Syracuse resorts to trickery in the backfield. Maley gets the ball and lobs to Bowman at Syracuse's 38. The Syracuse backs do a great job of faking. Maley gets off a quick pass to Bill Schoonover. It's a 9-yard pickup. Big John Mackey is at wingback for the first time. He takes a handoff from Maley and turns right end. And the powerful 215-pounder looks like the great Jim Brown as he bounces off a tackle and races away for a 36-yard touchdown. It's 28-0 Syracuse. Navy refuses to quit despite the score. Roger Staubach hurls a long pass to Dick Ernest. Ernest gets 45 yards before Mike Koski can bring him down. Staubach again drops back to pass. Roger connects with Dave Sugarroot on the 10. Dave fights past a tackler and makes it in for the score. The try after touchdown fails, and it's 28-6. But Syracuse still has some unfinished business in mind. Jim Gaskins goes for 12 to the Navy 13. Reserve quarterback Dick King fakes, then finds a big hole in the line. Dick scurries through and into the end zone for the final score of the game. Syracuse 34, Navy 6. The Orangemen make it a happy day for their homecoming alumni as they pick up their 4th win of the season. After a big win over Navy, the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame return to South Bend to play the rugged Panthers of the University of Pittsburgh. This game is always replete with hard-hitting action. Notre Dame is in high gear early as sophomore fullback Joe Farrell rips off a 15-yard gain to the Pitt 44. Watch now in slow motion as Irish field general Darryl LaMonica fades and bullets a hard one over the center to his right end Jim Kelly to move to the Pitt 12. Three plays later, halfback Don Hogan slants off the left side and drives into the end zone as Notre Dame goes out in front 7-0. Notre Dame gets the ball back, and LaMonica again spurs the Irish with a 9-yard pitch to halfback Frank Minnick. LaMonica is really baffling the hard-charging Panthers. Here he rolls right and completes another to Jim Kelly to the Pitt 18. From the 4, LaMonica outwits everyone with a nifty jump pass to Kelly, and the aroused men of Joe Kuharich lead Pittsburgh 15-0. The Panthers try to claw back, but Sam Colella fumbles, and Clay Stevens recovers for the Irish on the Pitt 17. Quarterback LaMonica sends halfback Ron Bly sweeping to the right. Bly hits the sideline and tightropes the final 5 yards to go in for the score, and the amazing Irish vault to a commanding 22-0 first quarter lead. Pittsburgh finally gets going. Quarterback Jim Trafficant keeps his balance and tosses a strike to end Gene Sobolewski. Good for 22 yards as the first period ends. The Panthers display some of their new wide-open game with Paul Martha throwing on the run-pass option. Ed Clark makes the catch and runs hard to the Irish 5. Quarterback Jim Trafficant decides to go it alone from there. He's hit on the 1, but bounces into pay dirt. Notre Dame leads Pitt 22-6. Pittsburgh's Peter Billy tries to get the Panthers out of danger, but Notre Dame's Tom Goverville blocks the punt with a sensational leap, and the Irish have first and goal on the Pitt 7. Darryl LaMonica is playing faultless football this afternoon. He rolls right and fires on target to Jim Kelly, and the Irish increase their advantage to 29-6. The Panthers refuse to die. Ed Clark slips through a good hole and speeds for the sideline. Clark outruns the entire Irish secondary to go all the way for a 56-yard TD. This brings Pitt back into the ballgame at 29-14 with a full half yet to play. In the third period, Pitt's punter Pete Billy is having more trouble. He fumbles the snap from center, and the Irish take the ball on the Panthers' 40. Darryl LaMonica wastes no time exploiting that break as he lofts a perfect first down pass to Clay Stevens. Stevens takes the ball on the 10 and prances in for Notre Dame's fifth six-pointer, and the Irish lead 36-14. In the final quarter, Notre Dame's Joe Farrell is going again with a 12-yard burst over right guard to the Pitt 25. LaMonica keeps the party alive with another hookup with his favorite target, Kelly, for 15 to the Pitt 16. It's LaMonica to Kelly again, and they're an unstoppable pair. Kelly spears the ball on the 2 and fights in for the score as the underdog Irish now lead 43-14. Ed Rutkowski kicks off for Notre Dame. Fred Mazurek fields the ball on the 7 and speeds upfield. Mazurek finds the alley, and out he goes into the clear. The sophomore quarterback pours on the coal, and there's going to be no stopping him. He's gone. 93 yards on a touchdown. But that's not enough today for the Pitt Panthers as they catch Notre Dame in its sharpest performance of the season to go down before the Irish 43-22. Looks like happier days are ahead for Joe Kuharich. Memorial Coliseum in Los Angeles is the battleground for the clash between UCLA and the Air Force Academy. UCLA, an explosive team that just began playing the T this year, boasts a win over mighty Ohio State. The Falcons are underdogs, but are capable of pulling the big upset. Quarterback Terry Isaacson has the Falcons on the wing in the first quarter as he pitches a short pass to Nick Orshenkopf, who gets to the Bruin 43. Isaacson can run as well as pass, and he tries his own number for 6 yards. With the Falcons' air game working to perfection, Isaacson continues to go overhead. Carlton Simpson has it for 13 yards. Sideline left and open field to the right, so the Falcon quarterback sends Darrell Bloodworth skirting right end where there's room to cut the corner and score. After one period of play, the Air Force Academy leads UCLA 7-0. It's UCLA moving now in the second quarter as Larry Zeno puts one on the line to Mel Profit for 19 yards and a Bruin first down. Bruin blockers open a big hole up front for Kermit Alexander. Alexander puts his speed to good use as he breaks away from the Air Force secondary and races for 31 yards to the Falcon 19. Larry Zeno again looks to throw, but he fails to get this missile away when Tony Mellis and Gary Fausti swarm all over him. The Bruins are forced to try for a field goal on fourth down. Larry Zeno sends a line drive place kick through the uprights from the 28-yard line. And it's now 7-3 as Coach Bill Barnes paces the sideline. UCLA gets the ball again just before intermission, and Kermit Alexander looks for more big Bruin yardage. He breaks away at the 25, then proceeds to roar down the sideline for 39 yards and a UCLA first down. Larry Zeno gives Alexander a rest by passing to Dan Gormley for 9 yards on a Bruin first down. The Bruins try a little something different by having Kermit Alexander attempt a halfback pass play. Darrell Bloodworth breaks up the threat with a timely interception that stops the Bruin march at halftime, with the Air Force Academy leading 7-3. Dave Backus is piloting the Air Force in the third quarter as he rolls for 16 yards over tackle. Backus fakes into the line and pitches to John Lorber, who hits for 7 yards and a Falcon first down. The Bruins prove stubborn, so John Gavin displays his field goal technique from the 15. It's good, and the Air Force stretches its lead to 10-3 going into the final quarter. Larry Zeno can't get the Bruins off the ground with alert Falcon interceptors all over the field. Terry Isaacson returns this one 37 yards to the Bruin 18. Now Isaacson tries his hand at the aerial game and finds a clear path to Dick Brown, who goes to the UCLA 5. Isaacson gives off to Nick Orshidkov, who drives over the goal line for the second Falcon touchdown. Air Force leaps ahead, 17-3. A big upset is in the making unless Larry Zeno can strike quickly. He hits John White with a short pass. White shakes off a Falcon and romps for 23 yards. Larry Zeno fakes into the line, then keeps the ball and roars into the end zone for the Bruins' only touchdown of the day. With a 2-point conversion, UCLA still falls 6 points short as the Air Force pulls a big 17-11 upset over a top Western power.
Things are really popping in Birmingham, Alabama, as the state's two collegiate football powers, the Tigers of Auburn and the Alabama Crimson Tide, square off in a Dixie Gridiron Classic that's the big game for both teams. Here's the opening kickoff. Auburn's Herman Wilkes puts his toe to the pigskin and sends it sailing to Alabama's Butch Wilson, who fields the ball on his own 8. Wilson comes straight ahead, veers right, then makes the long swing to the sideline. All-American Leroy Jordan throws a crushing block, and Wilson is in the clear. He races the final yards to complete a dazzling 92-yard play and vaults the Crimson Tide into an early 7-0 lead over the startled Auburn Tigers. Alabama moves later in the first quarter with fullback Eddie Versprill charging straight ahead. Good for 13 yards. Halfback Benny Wilson gets the call on the next play and, moving behind great blocking, runs 40 yards all the way to the Auburn 22 before T. Fredrickson makes the stop. That ends the first quarter. Continuing the ground assault, fullback Ed Versprill bangs off right guard for another 5-yard gain. Let's watch in slow motion the smoothly efficient Alabama offense. Quarterback Joe Namath rolls to his left behind his 3 backs. Versprill, number 31, throws the first block. Then Namath follows Butch Wilson, number 20. Wilson does his job, and Namath goes over for the touchdown. The Crimson Tide now leads Auburn 14-0. Later, Auburn is forced to punt. John Kilgore goes back, but Leroy Jordan blocks the kick. There's a mad scramble. The slippery ball is kicked and pushed all the way to the end zone, where Alabama's Bill Battle recovers and it's another 6 points for the rampaging Crimson Tide. The score at halftime, Alabama 21, Auburn nothing. Always a strong second-half team, Alabama continues the assault with quarterback Joe Namath rifling a pass to Carlton Rankin for a 13-yard advance. Sophomore Namath is a cool operator. He decides to leg it himself here and gets 7 yards to the Tiger 3. A 15-yard penalty delays the Tide march, but Namath remedies that in one fell swoop. He triggers a pass to Rankin for a touchdown. Alabama takes a commanding 28-0 lead with a devastating show of force against arch-rival Auburn. Dickie Odell kicks off for Alabama. George Rose takes the ball in his own 3 and heads upfield. He's gang tackled at the 30, fumbles. Odell recovers for Alabama, and everything is going right for the Tide today. Auburn holds this time, so Tim Davis place kicks from the 39. The kick is far and true. It's 3 more points for the lads of Bear Bryant to make the score Alabama 31, Auburn nothing. The Tigers finally get going a few minutes later. Jimmy Seidel runs right and completes a pass to his right. The receiver is Ronnie Bainese. Seidel goes back again. He hits big Mike Helms, and the lanky end races 29 yards for a Tiger first down on the Alabama 37. Seidel continues the aerial barrage, but he's rushed, and the Tide's ever-present Butch Wilson intercepts his wayward toss and then brings it back for 22 yards in the other direction. The Tigers force Alabama to punt, so Cotton Clark kicks. It's a long, high punt. Billy Edge catches the ball but fumbles it away when he's racked hard. And who recovers? You guessed it, Butch Wilson. From the Auburn 16, Joe Namath wants one more score. He throws, and Dick Williamson makes the grab for 6. The Alabama Crimson Tide rolls to an impressive 38-0 win over the Tigers of Auburn and immediately accepts the challenge to meet Oklahoma in the Orange Bowl on New Year's Day. The Trojans bid for a perfect season as they meet the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. A victory today for Southern Cal will mean the national championship of the 1962 college football season. Big Hal Bedsell is the Trojans' 6'5" All-American end. Southern Cal head coach John McKay has his charges fired up to complete the school's first perfect season in 30 years. Quarterback Pete Bettard will lead the powerful Trojan team. The Trojans, wearing dark helmets, move as Bettard shoots a pass to Willie Brown. Willie works his way for 34 yards to the Irish 18. The Trojan line opens for fullback Ben Wilson. The 225-pounder barrels for 8 yards. A penalty moves the ball close to the goal. Pete Bettard keeps over the right side, but he's stopped short of the end zone. Notre Dame tightens its line, but Ben Wilson goes up and in for the touchdown. Southern Cal takes a 7-0 lead. Near the end of the first quarter, the Irish send halfback Don Hogan over left tackle. Don drives for 9 yards. Quarterback Darryl LaMonica drops back to pass. No one's open, so Darryl runs the ball for 12 yards. But the Irish are caught clipping, and the play is wiped out as the first period ends with the Trojans leading 7-0. LaMonica opens the second quarter with a quick pass to Jim Kelly. It's a 9-yard gain that takes the Irish to the Southern Cal 46. LaMonica keeps the Notre Dame march alive by again passing to Kelly. Jim is downed immediately on the SC 29. Misfortune strikes the men from South Bend as Joe Farrell fumbles the handoff. Hal Bedsell, number 19, recovers for Southern Cal. The Trojans try to make the break pay off. Beddard goes back to pass. Pete is rushed and decides he'd better run with the ball. He does just that, stepping off 28 yards before LaMonica can push him out of bounds. The fired-up Californians are hard to stop today. Willie Brown takes a pitch out and rolls around right in for 21 yards to the Notre Dame 14. Hard-running Ben Wilson gets a call up the middle. Wilson gets to the Irish 6. The Trojans want another score, so they call on Wilson. Ben gets to the 1. There's no secret as to what happens from here. Wilson rocks the Irish line for his second touchdown, and Southern Cal goes ahead 13-0 at halftime. The third period finds the Trojans' offense clicking again. Pete Beddard keeps around left end and picks up 7 yards. It's 2nd and 3, and Ben Wilson gets the ball. Ben plows for 5 to the SC 44. Beddard tries the other side with Willie Brown doing the honors. Willie has to fight his way for a 6-yard gain. Ben Wilson is too tough to handle on this play, but the Irish do manage to force the Trojans to give up the ball on a punt. Starting from their own 1-yard line, Notre Dame springs Joe Farrell up the middle for a 14-yard gain. Darryl LaMonica loosens his talented right arm by firing complete to Don Hogan for 12 yards. LaMonica continues his quick throwing tactics. Jim Kelly takes the pass across midfield as the third quarter comes to an end. Notre Dame can get no further, and it's the Trojans on the go in the final quarter. Ben Wilson goes for 9 yards to the Irish 25. Reserve quarterback Bill Nelson connects over the middle to Fred Hill. Hill makes it into pay dirt, and Southern Cal leads 19-0. Darryl LaMonica tries to get his Notre Dame team moving, but linebacker Armando Sanchez intercepts on the Notre Dame 21. Sophomore Craig Furtick is at the Trojan helm. Craig comes to his left and fires a beauty to Gary Hill inside the Irish 10. Furtick gives the Southern Californians another tally as he goes right on the keeper and in for 6. Southern Cal shows its strength with a 25-0 advantage. The Fighting Irish never stop trying. John Harty passes to Don Hogan for a 9-yard gain. But the Trojans of Southern Cal are just too much for the young Notre Dame team. Notre Dame's Bill Ahern is thrown for a loss as the game ends. Southern California overpowers Notre Dame to complete its first undefeated and untied season in 30 years. The collegiate champions will meet Wisconsin in the Rose Bowl Classic on New Year's Day. The University of Mississippi Rebels, the nation's third-ranked team, are going for an undefeated season. But the last obstacle is arch-rival Mississippi State. This game is always a real bruiser. Number 78 is 270-pounder Jim Dunaway, Ole Miss's All-American tackle. He can move that big torso. At quarterback for the Rebels of Johnny Vaught is senior Glenn Griffing, who today is closing out an outstanding career. Both squads are sky high. This is the big game for the Mississippians. Mississippi State has the ball early. Quarterback Charlie Furlow rolls left and passes a quickie to his left halfback, Ode Burrell. It's a 10-yard gain. From the Ole Miss 34, Furlow goes back again to pass. He dances out of trouble. Waits, then passes long. It's complete to Billy Cook, who is just barely tripped up on the Ole Miss 3. That's plenty close enough for the aroused Bulldogs. Ode Burrell slashes off right tackle and in for the touchdown. His upset-minded Mississippi State leads the Rebels 6-0. The Rebels fight back as they send halfback Lewis Guy through a hole on the left side for a 6-yard gain. Quarterback Glenn Griffin hides the ball neatly on his hip, then bullets a strike to Reed Davis for a 15-yard pickup to the Ole Miss 44. The Rebel machine is clicking now. Chuck Morris gets a good hole and slides through for another 6 yards. Pulling his favorite play, Griffin bootlegs the ball right and heads out on his own. There's lots of room for prancing. Griffin does 22 yards worth as the first quarter ends. Working methodically, Ole Miss employs the halfback pass from Chuck Morris to Lewis Guy for 5 more yards. The Rebels try the same thing to the left on the next play, but Morris meets more resistance. He tucks the ball in and goes down to the Bulldogs' 9. Working the same halfback pass play for the third straight time, Ole Miss moves the ball to the Mississippi State 1 with this Morris to Guy completion. No pass needed from here. Louis Guy drives in for the score. B.C. Irwin's kick puts Ole Miss in the lead at 7-6 over a fired-up Mississippi State 11. State's Charlie Furlow tries to go ahead before the half ends. He floats a long one that Ode Burrell latches onto. It's a 32-yard gain, but the halftime score remains Ole Miss 7, Mississippi State 6. The Rebels get going early in the third quarter as fullback Perry Lee Dunn bolts through a big hole and races for 15 yards to the Ole Miss 28. Glenn Griffin takes the snap and passes quickly to Louis Guy for a 12-yard thrust for the Rebels. Fullback Dunn is getting some great blocking, and he's matching it with hard, aggressive running. This play nets 18 yards and a first down on the Bulldogs' 37. On a key 3rd and 9 situation, reserve quarterback Jim Weatherly tries to come up with a big play, but instead, he's in big trouble as State's Gene Gibbs makes a great play to dump the Rebels for a 10-yard loss and snuff out their scoring try. In the fourth period, Ole Miss sends Buck Randall crashing through the left side in high-wheeling fashion for a 10-yard gain. Jim Weatherly goes to the air a few plays later and connects with halfback Larry Johnson, who's hit immediately, but holds on for a 12-yard gain. Watch quarterback Weatherly, number 12, fake to perfection, then slip unnoticed to the outside. There's nobody left, and young Mr. Weatherly sprints 43 yards for a touchdown. That ices the game for the undefeated Rebels as they beat the inspired Bulldogs of Mississippi State 13-6, and now look forward to New Year's.